Good morning, kiddos. So I'm going to be doing a project today. It's called Chic for Cheap, and the challenge is over on Christy Creates channel, and her co-host is Sammie with Unicorn Dust Designs. I hope you go down into the comments and follow the link, and go over to their channels and watch all of the playlist that's going on. There's some really talented people going to be on there today, and I hope you get to see some of the things they create. Part of this challenge is just to create something that you see that you think you can make for cheaper. And today I have 3, and I hope that you really like them. Let me know in the comments, and please subscribe and give me a thumbs up.
Okay, that was too much fun. All right, this is our first project. It was $34.99, and I found it at Kohl's. Now, I didn't buy it, of course, but I am going to remake it. Now, these boards were gifted to me from a friend, and she's super sweet when she sent these to me because I was having trouble finding signboards. Now, I left the decorative edges at the top, and I also glued them together, the 2 signs together, with popsicle sticks. Now, I'm just taking wood glue, and I am filling in the crack, because I don't want there to be a crack in the board. I'm just wiping off the excess. I used a discount card that I have to scrape it off. You'll notice that I use discount cards a lot, especially if they're expired or old gift cards or stuff like that. I use them for my vinyl. I use them to scrape things off with. I just love them. Now, this is a sheet of rhinestones that I got at Walmart, and it was $2.50 for the whole sheet. Now, I only use about half the sheet on here. And they are the biggest ones that you can get. They're in the craft section. I just love using these rhinestones. Instead of like the wooden bead look, though, it gave it more of a nail head look. So I still liked it, but and it was extremely close, especially for the other project to be $34.99. And then this one was only... haven't figured it up yet, but I'm thinking it's around about $6. So $6 compared to $34.99. Again, I'm a cheapskate. Ooh, happy dance. Dancing to my music there. I'm using the Waverly white chalk paint. And right here I'm filling in the holes at the top of the sign where I cut the little tags out at the beginning. And I'm just filling them in a little bit. It's not going to show in the end. I always put the hot glue in, and then I swipe it right back out over the top. And when you do that, it fills it in pretty good. Now I'm going through and I am giving 2 coats of this. And you're going to have to go in both directions to get those rhinestones covered up. Now you can tell right there, it looks like nail heads, and I'm loving it. Now I'm using gray vinyl, and this is Oracle vinyl that I order online, and I usually have to place about a $35 order to get this. I get a ton of vinyl from these people, and I love them. And used to be, I haven't made an order in a while, but used to, if you ordered $35 or more, you got free shipping. So I'll have to check into that again for you guys, and I'll see if they're still doing that promotion. Now, when you pull vinyl off, I'm using the clear contact paper from Dollar Tree. I love that stuff for vinyl because it's very low. It's not as great a tack as using transfer tape. I never buy transfer tape. It's expensive, and it just, honestly, I've got 3 different kinds, and I don't like any of them. So Dollar Tree clear contact paper for your vinyl. And if you get a new piece out, stick it to your shirt before you stick it to your vinyl, and it'll come off so much easier. You can see how I'm pulling it almost directly bent over to get it back off. So you fold it back over and peel and slide it off. That just is the best method I have ever used. Normally I have a credit card on the right hand, and I'm pulling the vinyl with the left hand over the top of that card so that I can get a complete 180 degrees back. So now I got this ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I'm loving it. It looks like ticking, and so ticking is a kind of material that you used to buy for pillows. It's that striped blue, but it's kind of like that, and I just loved it. So it has the linen look and then the gray stripe in it, and I love it. So I'm just making a simple bow, and I'm going to trim the edges up of it here in just a minute. And then I use that eucalyptus bush that I got from Walmart the other day that I don't know if you watched my haul, but it was like $2 for the bush. Now I used 4 pieces of it. I really wish I'd only used 2. It was just too much. Again, less is more, girls. Now I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to make me a hanger. I'm not big on covering the backs of stuff because I usually don't hang it where you can see the back of it. So I'm not big on finishing the back. I know a lot of people are. So if you like the back finished, go ahead and paint that white. Of course, if you want to sell it, you can always paint the back. Now, this just turned out so adorable. I cannot wait to hang this in the bathroom. So this one I won't be giving away, Mom. So you just need to wait for the next one. So this project again comes from Kohl's. It was $29.99, and this is what theirs looked like, and this is what mine looked like. So it's close, but it's not just perfect. But you know what? I was thoroughly impressed with it, and I'm loving this one. Now the back of it is just that foam core board that you get from Dollar Tree. It's like $1 for a piece of it, and I'm measuring out how I wanted it. Now I measured wrong, so I had to do it a couple of times to get it right, but in the end I still did it wrong and had to make some adjustments. The sign, this is a piece of lattice that I got to make the border or the frame, and it was 99 cents for 6 feet of it, and I had about 10 inches left in the end. So my project is 18 1/4 by 11 3/4 of a quarter inches. So here I've cut all of my lattice strips, and now I'm using the Waverly chalk paint wax. I can't think what the wax is called, but anyway, I stain all the boards and get them, first I started trying to wipe it on. It didn't work. So then I used the foam brush and just did it like that. Now, this cross is the best that I could find as far as a cross. I tried to make the wire cross. I just couldn't bend the wire right. I think my wire was too thick, and I finally just gave up and said, hey, you know what? I got a little Christmas decoration over here that the hanger fell off of. I'm going to use it. So I spent way too much time coloring this thing. Like, you didn't see the 45 times of coats of, because it's glitter, and so I was trying to take a little bit of the shiny off. Now I mix up white chalk paint, Waverly chalk paint, with a tiny bit of gray in it, and the gray is the elephant gray. You can see it sitting off to the left there, and I just put a tiny bit in there because I didn't want white, but I didn't want gray, so I wanted just a tint of gray, because this is more of a brown background, but my walls aren't brown. So now I'm going through and see how there's lines on there. I'm taking a brown, what are those called? It's not a watercolor pencil. It's just a brown pencil. Dadgum. Those pencils you get. The kids use them all the time. Colored pencil. It's a colored pencil. Colored pencil. Good grief. That shouldn't have took so long. All right, so my lines are about 2 inches apart. And what I'm doing now is, after I've made the lines, they're real faint. So I saw somebody use an eraser on just a regular pencil, and when they were using just a lead pencil to make lines, and smudge it. And so what I decided to do is, this is a little smudger thing that's for art, which you could do this with an eraser, but you can just see how the lines really just pop after I start using this. So I think I couldn't find a pencil eraser, so that's the first thing I grabbed, and it smudged it, and I'm loving it. So then I go back and, I've taken a black marker because, I'm the smartest person, because I couldn't find a regular pencil, and I'd made little tick marks. So I'm going back and covering that up with paint. Now I'm going to glue these wood pieces together. They finally dried. And what I'm doing is I'm putting wood glue on the outside edges, and then a little dab of hot glue in the middle, just to hold it until the wood glue dries. Now, if I'd had clamps, corner clamps, which I need to get, I I don't know why I haven't done it, but I hadn't. I guess I hadn't put a whole lot of picture frames together, but that's probably going to be a necessity here before long. But that would have been great. But I just used the hot glue to tack it together so that it would hold temporary until that wood glue sets in. And you can see that I'm kind of, getting it. The last piece I put it on both ends and then tacked the hot glue on each one. And then waited for it to dry a little bit before I moved it, let the hot glue cool off before I moved it. Ooh, see, it's wobbly. Now, this thing was still wobbly after I got it glued together. But don't worry, once we get the back on, I staple it on there and it shores it up really well. So I'm going to go take it and set it to the side and let it dry. And then I'm going to put my vinyl on my poster board. Now, it's not poster board, it's hollow or foam core board. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm cutting the vinyl apart because it doesn't fit in between each one, and I wanted to save vinyl, so I kind of scrunched it up. And again, I'm using my Dollar Tree vinyl, and I've already tacked it to my shirt so that it's low tack. And then I'm using this piece of wood to measure it so that I get a fairly straight line on one side. Now, I know you guys can hear every once in a while me wiggling around. I apologize for that. It's just that when you sit in your closet floor doing these, your bottom starts to go numb and I have to wiggle. So I apologize for the phone wiggling back and forth and you hearing that. Now I'm just going through and I'm going to add all the vinyl up, and it'll magically appear here in a minute, and it'll just be like, boom. So you can see how I use my gift card to pull, to do the, I held it in my right hand, and then I pulled with my left hand the transfer tape, and it just gives it a really sharp edge, and it keeps the vinyl from pulling back up onto the transfer tape. It's just the best method that I've found, and someone showed me that. I learned it off of I'm sure YouTube a long time ago, and it just makes it so much easier. So this project cost me around $5 to make. The hollow core foam board, that was $1. The lattice was $1. The ornament you could have gotten at Christmas time, probably $1, depending on where you got it at, especially if you got it from Dollar Tree. And then the vinyl is $1 to $2 for that vinyl. I don't even actually think it costs that much, but I'm just saying if you had to buy Cricut vinyl. I enjoy making these projects. That other project was $29, where this one is $5. So again, super economical to make your own, and a lot of fun, and it's a great evening. So here again, I'm fussing with this cross, putting some more paint on it, and this time I used some black and brown mixed, and just tried to get it as best I could. I just started adding more paint because it was still just too golden. I wanted it to be more brown, and then it finally worked. So now it's time to attach it to the frame. Now I'm using this easy stapler that I got. It's one of my favorite staplers because of the way it punches. It doesn't kill my hand when I use it. And what I'm doing is I'm just going along one side and stapling it in. Now there are places where when I get to stapling it, I'm going through the front and it's not hitting any wood. I'm looking there and I'm like, foo-foo. Anyway, so I pull the extra ones out, and then I go back and push on both sides to staple it in. This is where I measured wrong, but now I've given you the correct measurements that I should have used beforehand, so I didn't want to mess you up in the long run. You can see me taking them back out because I can see that they're not hitting the wood, and I just keep trying until I finally get it right. Well, when I pull it back over on this side, I've noticed that there's holes now. So I have to cover those holes up. And honestly, it just really wasn't very solid. So I'm like, what could I put in that crack that adheres the board to the poster cord, the phone cord board? I really am having a hard time saying that. And so I thought, well, I'm going to use that new rope that I bought from Dollar Tree. So I got that rope out and I tied one end has a knot in it. And well, they both had knots in them, but I took the last knot out and tucked it under. So I just go along the edge and start hot gluing it in. Now, if you get a little bit extra hot glue while it's hot, take your scissors on the metal part and scrape that hot glue back out. Hot glue loves to stick to something cold and metal, and when it does, it's going to pull it back off, and it's going to make it extremely clean there. So just be careful about pulling it off your scissors or your metal object, any metal object. Hot glue, it instantly cools it and sticks to it at the same time. It's the craziest thing, but it's a new trick that I've learned that when I've gotten way too much hot glue, or this thing drips hot glue somewhere, that I can get it back up with something cold and metal, as long as I do it immediately. So now I'm just tucking this up underneath that last knot, and I want it to join there. So I'm going to glue it, and then I'm going to trim the excess off, and then I'll glue the knot down. This rope is just awesome. It bends and just, it doesn't have a super twist in it. So I really like using it because it's not all wound up. Sometimes when you buy rope and it's bound up on a twined thing, you can't get it to stop curling. But this stuff was just really lax, and I really like that. Now I'm so happy the way it turned out. That cross, when I hot glued it on, make sure you hit it in the high areas with the hot glue. And it just turned out so cute. I mean, for $5 compared to $29, you can't beat that. So Friday, I'll be doing a challenge with Heidi Sambal, and it is a Valentine's challenge, and so all the projects have to be Valentine themed. So you can follow along with me on Friday. This is our theme, little ladybug. But of course you can always adapt it to your own. So some of the things that you're going to need, and this is just some of the list because I always change up, is you're going to need a ball of white yarn or twine if you like the twine look better. A package of these hearts. There's 8 for $1 at Dollar Tree. 2 packages of these hearts, let's see, they're 4 in a package. And then a package of black pom-poms. Okay. An infinity scarf or any other kind of fabric that you have that's red, pink, or black, white. It wouldn't have to be this scarf. It's just so that it hangs in between the little hearts. And that's all I can think of right now. Of course, you'll always need scissors and glue and, all. You might want white stickers or red stickers to put on here. So you might want to pick some of those up. If you don't have them, you can get a paint marker, the white paint marker, and you can write the letters on there. Or use a stencil. So you can use stickers, stencil, or if you have a Cricut, I will have an SVG file that you can go to Cricut and cut off of there. Now, if you need it in silhouette form, I can send you just the plain SVG. I just don't have a place to put it in there. Just text me, or not text me, leave a comment and I will email it to you. So, all right, I'll see you Friday. Okay, this next project is for my scrapbooking buddies, and they'll know what I'm talking about. Hopefully you will too by the time we're done. So we need 2 frames from Dollar Tree. We need a scraper of some sorts to get the wording off. We need these foam core foam dots. That's just like some foam tape. I use these like pop dots. Pop dots are kind of like $2 or $3 a package, so when I can get $1 of them, that's great. Now I'm just going to show you what other papers we're going to use, what you could use. Anything with large elements in it will really work well. Even this corner border would work good. You just need 2 pieces of paper that are the same. So if you have, when you get these pads of paper, I get a lot of my paper from Tuesday Mornings. Like that pad right there was $1.99. I think the one to the right is actually from Hobby Lobby, and I think I paid $12 for that one. But Hobby Lobby, Michael's, any of your scrapbook stores, they have paper that you can buy for $1 a sheet, or sometimes cheaper than even that. I know that Hobby Lobby you can get pieces of paper for $1 sometimes. So you just have to be on the lookout for it. Now I'm measuring the back of it so that I can see if my elements that I picked on my paper are going to actually fit in the frame. That's always, first you need to know what size frame you're going to use, then you can pick out your paper. Now I'm going to take this little scraper, that little red scraper did perfect, and scraped off the vinyl that was on the inside of the windows, and it just scraped it off cleaner than anything. So I'm using the background piece of paper to measure out the exact thing that I need to cover the back plate of the frame. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and mark the second sheet around the elements. And this is called, what I'm going to be doing next is called Fussy Cutting. And I'm going to fussy cut around just those elements that I need to cover the square on the left. Okay, see how I'm going there and I'm matching it up. I actually, when I fussy cut, I do a little extra. I leave a little extra on the edges so that if I mess up, that I have extra left to play with. Now you just take a little pair of fine scissors to fussy cut, or an X-Acto knife if you want to use an some people use an X-Acto knife to fussy cut around it. It doesn't have to be exact, just, pretty close. Because in the end, we're going to take a marker, and the reason we use a marker on the edges is to hide the white core of the paper. You're going to see me I just used that brown furniture marker that Dollar Tree has. But now for my scrapbooking buddies, they will probably use their cat's eyes to ink the edges. There's several ways to do it. The reason you want those white edges covered is because it looks torn or it looks used, and that just covers up that little white piece that's going to poke out there in some places, especially in little corners and stuff like that. So here in a minute you'll see how I use just the tip of the marker to get into the corners from the back side to lay it on there. Now I'm just measuring there to make sure that it looks right. And of course there's my marker that I used. And as you can see, I'm going to go around the edges. Now I'm covering all that up again because this paper is white core paper. Any printed paper that you get, the core of it is going to be white, and so when you cut across it, you can see a white edge. Well, we don't want that in our picture. We want it to look finished, and it gives it a good finished edge. So now we've flipped our piece over, and on the back side, we're going to put these pop dots, or these foam core dots on there. They are double stick, so some of them, I need to get in these little leaves. So I'm going to trim them down, take my scissors and cut them down so that you can't see them on the other side of the paper. You don't want the white part to show in any way, shape, or form. So you're going to pull it back from the edge a little bit, but you still have, like where I have these little stems, I've got to make a little stem so that it'll still stand up, because over time the paper will wilt and it'll start mashing back down flat. So you want it to stand up, because this is what those are for, is to pop it up off the paper. So I've pulled all the little extra, so there's two sides to these, and you pull the extra piece off, and then you match it up. And look, I don't like where it is. I shouldn't have mashed it down so hard. And then I take it up and I just bend it just a tiny bit to get it to go where I want it to go. Now, I haven't finished all the edges yet, but or all the little pieces. There's another leaf and a little small leaf beside it that I'll go ahead and cut up and put on there too. Once I have it all together, then I'm going to flip it over and trim the excess pieces of paper off. And some of them have foam core on there, so it took me a minute to kind of, or not foam core, foam pop dots on there. So I need to get those off. I need to make it so that it'll actually fit in the frame. So now we've got it all trimmed up, and I'm going to just put it in my frame and put the back on it, and push the little metal tabs down. Look how cute it turned out. And I just do the exact same thing with the second one. I'm showing you here where the foam core just makes it stand up, and it makes it look so elegant. I'm putting the backs back on these. Scrapbooking is my main craft, and so I've been scrapbooking for over 21 years, and I enjoy it so much. I hope you enjoyed all the projects today, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up, and if you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. I will see you on Friday with all the Valentine's crafts.